Today we're making fast and easy yogurt using the Instapot. Welcome to Urban Prepping with Pam. I'm Pam. So I'm going to fill these jars. Water for projects like this, so I didn't use tap water. Urban Prepping with Pam is all about learning skills. If there were an emergency, if the power went out, there are certain skills that we would need to know how to use. Fermenting is one of those skills. Now, it's not meant for a long-term storage, but it is for a longer-term storage. So you can extend the life of milk, you can extend the life of vegetables, all kinds of things if you learn how to ferment. Yogurt would be the perfect place to start your fermenting skills because it's easy. And the way I'm going to show you, it's the easiest. Now the milk that I use, and you can use any ultra pasteurized milk, but I use Fairlife. And the reason I use Fairlife is because not only is it ultra filtered, so I don't have to heat the milk before I put the starter in, it's got extra protein in it. So when you make yogurt the way I'm going to show you how to make yogurt, your yogurt will come out thick like Greek yogurt, which is how I like it. If you like a thinner yogurt, you can always thin it down if you wanted to. Or use, you could use regular milk, but you would have to heat the milk, and I'm not going to be showing us how to do that today. But what I am going to show you is the easiest way that you could possibly make yogurt using the Instapot and using ultra pasteurized milk that has got 50% more protein in it. So to get started, I'm going to pour a small amount of milk in this pitcher. Look at me making a mess. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to mix the starter in first, and then I'll add the rest of the milk. This 1 container of milk is going to make 4 pint-sized jars. Now, if you wanted to put the yogurt directly into your Instapot, you can make double the amount, and I've done that. But I like that you have to let the yogurt rest, and I like the fact that it's already in jars. All I have to do is put them in the refrigerator. I don't have to, mess it up, or I kind of make a mess when I put the yogurt in the jars. So anyway, this is the way I like to do it. It makes half the amount. If you were just dumping it in your Instapot right here, you could put 2 of these bottles in there and make a double amount. I'm just going to do 1 of those, and what I'm going to do is I've bought, this is Chobani. I'm not getting paid for these brands. I'm just showing you what I've got here. And the reason that I chose Chobani is when you read the labels, it has more good bacteria in it than some of the other brands have. So that's why I chose this. And I use just plain yogurt, because if you use flavored yogurt, that flavor is going to get inside the batch that you make. So what I do is I just take a spoonful, just 1 spoonful, that's all you need. Basically a tablespoon, but that's kind of like a generous tablespoon. And I put that in here and mix it up very well before adding the rest of the milk. Fork here just to make sure I get it mixed up very well. Now I'll add the rest of the milk. And again, if you were making a double batch by just pouring it right into the liner of your Instapot, you would put 2 tablespoons of starter and 2 containers of milk. And then you want to mix it up really well. But even if you're doing the 2 bottles of milk, make sure you only pour a small amount in and get that mixed up real well before you add the rest of your milk. And this is great because I've been making yogurt probably for 30 years. And I always had to heat the milk. You have to heat it to scalding, and then you have to let the temperature drop to about 110 degrees, 112 degrees. And that takes time. By the time you raise the temperature up and bring the temperature back down, it takes time. This is wonderful because I don't have to heat anything up, and now I'm just going to pour the mixture right in my jars. Now, I could have taken, for my starter, I could have taken a tablespoon of the yogurt, the last batch of yogurt that I made. But I had done that already, and so I wanted fresh yogurt. The reason I do that is there's no testing here. We're just going to make yogurt, and we're going to eat it and enjoy it. But there's no way to test how much of the good bacteria is in the batch. And so every other batch, I'll buy another container of Chobani and use that as my starter. Now the next time I make it, I'll just take a tablespoon from this batch and it'll be fine. I do that a lot. Every other batch. And then all you want to do is put lids on your jars. When I'm canning, I save my old lids. I don't reuse them for canning, but they're good for dry storage, and they're good for things like this when you're making yogurt, because you're not actually sealing them, you're just putting a lid on them. Okay, that's it. And now I'm going to put the 4 jars in my Instapot. And I'm going to add water. You don't have to add water. You can just leave the Instapot dry and turn it on, but it will take longer that way. So when you add water, I think it more evenly distributes the heat, a little bit of heat. Basically, it's incubating. So I'm going to use just warm water. And I'm going to bring the water level up to the neck of the jars, because that's how high I've filled it. A little bit more. That, my friends, is it. Put the lid on. Turn on your Instapot. I have a yogurt setting on my Instapot, and I'm going to up the time to 12 hours. When I make yogurt in the Instapot without the jars, it takes 10 hours for a perfect batch. When I put the jars in with no water, the incubation time that's good for me, that works for me, is 14 hours. Now, I'm going to test after 12 hours. It's, what time is it? It's almost 6 o'clock. I work, and so when I get up in the morning at 6 in the morning, this will be done. That'll be 12 hours, and I'll check. As long as it's solid, it's good to go. I'll just take them out of the Instant Pot, put them in the fridge, let them rest. I like to let my yogurt rest for 24 hours. After that, they're already in the jars. Just scoop it out of the jar and start eating them. It's nice and thick. It's delicious. You don't want it to incubate too long because it gets more sour, but you want it to incubate long enough so that it's firm. And like I said, because of this milk that I use, and there's actually a couple of reasons why I use this milk. It's got, like I said, double the protein in it, so it makes it nice and thick. But also, my husband is lactose intolerant. This is lactose free. So now he can enjoy the yogurt without worrying about getting sick, which is really wonderful, and he loves it. And it doesn't bother him any. So it's like I get a twofer. Because I make my husband happy. He can eat the yogurt. You know, when I made it with milk, he can only have a little tiny bit, and then it would bother his stomach. But this, he can have all the yogurt he wants. Now, this does preserve your milk for a time. It helps to extend the life of your milk. I've taken milk that was near the expiration date, and actually, ultra filtered. You're going to notice that ultra filtered milk lasts a long time. It's got a long, when you buy it, the expiration date is, sometimes 6 weeks after you buy it. So it lasts a long time. It's ultra filtered, which means there's really no bacteria in it at all. And that is why you are able to make it cold. This is the cold way to do it without having to heat it up. When you use regular milk and you have to scald your milk and then let it cool down a little bit, the reason you're scalding your milk is you're trying to kill the bad bacteria that's in that milk. With ultra filtered, there is none of that in the milk, and so you can just do it cold like I've done now. This was a game changer for me because making yogurt takes a while, especially when you have to heat up the milk and all that, and you keep an eye on it. You can't let it get too cold. It has to be just right. You didn't have to do any of that here. This was the fast and easy way to do it. And like I said, when you learn the skill of fermentation, and that's what this is, you extend the life of your food. So if you were in an emergency situation, you had no refrigeration, you had some milk on hand, it's going to start going bad if you were able to incubate it, put it out in the sun or something, and get it to incubate and turn it into yogurt. Now it's going to last longer than it would have. It would have spoiled before, and now it's not going to spoil. You've just extended the life of your milk. And you can do that with many other things. I'll have other videos. We're going to do all kinds of fun things with fermentation. It is just one of the skills that you would need, and we are going to explore all kinds of different skills. I encourage you to follow other people that do homesteading and prepping, because not any one person does everything. Get a nice variety of different people that you like to watch and learn from. There's some favorites that I have, and I watch people all the time. You never stop learning. There's always something that you can pick up, tips, and even if you've been doing this for a long time. But I'm trying to, when I do these videos, talk to people that have never done this before. So I hope you enjoyed the video. It was a nice quick one because it was a nice quick recipe. It's a brand new channel. I would really appreciate if you would subscribe, and if you'd hit the thumbs up button. You'll get notification next time I post a video, and I'll do several of these a week. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this, and I'll see you again soon. Bye-bye.